Hello, listeners. It's Rachel, and I'm here with episode number 9. As I record, it is July 29th, and today's interview is with Raina León. She's a poet local to the Bay Area, where I am, and she's great to talk to. You're going to enjoy it. Just a quick little catch-up on where I am, what I've been doing. Less panic about moving. Like I mentioned last time, we were kind of thinking about making a move. I think it's a good time to stay in place and just think about things. If you watch this on YouTube, you will see that I now have purple hair. That's a big deal. That was hours and hours in the making. That was fun times with bleach, I like to call it. And I can highly recommend coconut oil before you do the bleach. It actually helps the bleach work better, and my hair is soft. So that's fun. Not very writerly, but very exciting. Exciting writing-wise, I started this week the 3rd Songbird book about Atlanta. It's going to be, I think it's called The Songbird's Home. I think that's the working title. But it's number 3 in the Darling Songbirds, and it's about the little sister, Lana, who is the prodigal sister come home. And she's coming out of my pen or out of my fingertips onto the computer. She's coming out a little bit grumpy, which is, it's actually pretty fun and refreshing. I have normally darn chipper protagonists, and this grumpy one is pleasing me. My editor may have me draw that back a little bit by the time it gets to her desk, but that's fine. I really believe in writing a manuscript the way it wants to be written the first time. And if you know me at all, you know that I hate first drafts, and I don't hate this yet. I'm over 10,000 words, and I don't hate. Usually, I'm hating it by 2,000 words. So that's good. It's just super fun right now, and it's hot. It's bloody hot. I am sitting here sweating. Our house doesn't have air conditioning, and it's all week. It's been 82, 85 degrees inside the house all day long. So maybe that's why Lana is coming up grumpy. Perhaps I should put the book in a heat wave, then I could really feel it, live in it. Okay, let's jump into the interview. Please enjoy, and I hope that whatever you're writing, it's something fabulous and that you are enjoying it. And if it's not, then whip that into shape. You can do it. Hit me up on Twitter. Tell me what you're doing. Okay, enjoy. Well, welcome, listeners. I am here with Dr. Raina León. Just a quick introduction. She was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and she was introduced to poetry by her mother from a young age. She holds multiple degrees, and she's been nominated for a Pushcart Prize, which is awesome. Her work has appeared in over 50 literary magazines and journals, and her published poetry collections include Canticle of Idols, 2008, and Boogeyman Dawn, which was a finalist for the Naomi Long Madgett Prize, and her third book, Sombra, will be published this year.
It came out in February.
Oh, congratulations. I will link to that. Perfect. She is a Cave Canem Fellow, as well as a recipient of other fellowships and residencies, and she's the co-founder of the Acentos Review, and she's currently an assistant professor at St. Mary's College of California. Welcome.
Thank you.
That's a long, pedigreed, wonderful list.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to cull it down a little bit, too.
Yeah, I do a little bit too much.
I already like you. Writers do that.
Yeah.
Okay, leaping right in, what is the best time of day for you to write?
So the best time of day for me to write, I am a night owl. So when I really get to be my true self and be night owl-ish, then that time between like midnight and 6 a.m. when everything's quite still and you can just hear spirit and just take what comes.
Uh-huh.
And everything is quiet and there are no demands and I turn off the TV because nothing's on anyway. So that kind of silence in the world, that is my best time. But in the school year, not so easy to do. So in the school year, I usually write between 10 and midnight. So
that's just so different from, like, I love those hours between 4 and 6 a.m., but that's because I like to get up that early, you know? I like the horror. And, you know, they say we're born this way, that you really can't change it. That's just, you embrace your process. Mm-hmm. And how do you write? Longhand, computer?
I write primarily computer.
Hmm.
I have a journal that I keep in longhand, which kind of follows me throughout the day and meetings and so on. But I transfer that to the computer, but the computer is really my primary mode. And I like an actual laptop. I'm an ed tech person, so I have a lot of technology all the time. So I keep notes on my phone. I might keep notes on my iPad. And if I'm desperate, like I'm traveling and I have to be lightweight, um, then and I have to leave like the laptop behind, I'll use my iPad, for example, to compose, but I like a keyboard. I'm a very fast typist.
So that's where
So,
the composition occurs.
mhm.
Awesome. Do you use any special programs or just
I
Word?
just Word. I like to use Google Docs now these days, especially when I have to be mobile, as long as there's Wi-Fi access, just so that I can access the things from wherever I am, and I can limit my space consumption. But
Yeah.
Word is fine.
Cool. And where do you most end up writing at and why?
Um, so for my birthday, I think it was last year, my partner, he bought me this amazing, beautiful writer's desk, and I have a lovely typewriter on it, and the pictures, and it's all set up and everything. And every now and then I write there, but I really write from right here where I am
And
with
where are you now? You're
the couch in front of the desk. And I take over the whole thing. Poor Mateo, like he's like, where? I sit on the floor, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
because it turned into your desk. The couch turns
Yes,
into a desk. Yeah.
yes. And so the desk is right here. I can literally like reach off the screen into the desk. It's an extension.
That sounds perfect. I think last year I put a couch in my office and it sees way more use than I ever thought it would. I thought it would just be for napping, but it's
Yes.
good. It's good for writing.
Hmm.
That's awesome. And what is the worst writing advice you've ever been given?
The worst writing advice that I've been given is to take out the I. Yeah, the take because of course, like in college or composition, it's like take out the I. You're cultivating an objective voice within
Right.
this paper and so on. And I chafed at that in long ago, and even as a my first degree was my bachelor's was in journalism, right? And of course, you take out the I.
Right. Right.
You're supposed to be objective for everything, and that's such a lie. It's just so false. Like there's no way to really be objective. That's what I believe. And so I would rather folks just admit their subjectivity and like
Right.
speak from this a space of subjectivity and just own it. And so I think that's the worst advice that I was ever given, and it's something I push back against all the time, which is a challenge as a scholar when I have to take out the I,
Yeah.
and I resist that as much as I possibly can within different spaces, but it's
It,
something that still bothers me.
that's a great one. Like that's how I enter most works is
Yeah,
identifying or not identifying with the I
right.
in everything. So good. I'm glad that you left that behind.
Yes.
And what secret writing tip of awesomeness did you discover along the way?
Okay, secret tip of awesomeness, which is not really a secret, but so I mentioned before that I journal
Hmm.
and I do a lot of residencies. So I love residencies as a way for me to kind of create a new space, and
Hmm.
that space being solely devoted to writing. So I like residencies a lot. Resartist.org, for those who don't know, is a really wonderful resource. But that's not the writing tip. At residencies, I do a lot of journals. I write throughout, and I write with the idea of I am attempting not to just to track my day, but to tap into something creative and mine from there. So going back to the journal a few hours later and saying, okay, actually, this is kind of interesting, this idea. Let me underline that. Let me underline this. Let me underline this. And now let me write from this. So having that extra filter, that or not filter, but that extra step,
Right.
I think is something that's helped me a lot in and also directing my path and what I want to do.
That is wonderful. And now I want to do that. What is your favorite residency that you've been to?
So that's hard. It's actually really hard. And I have favorites for different reasons. So I'll give you two. I'll give you three. I'll give you three. Three. That's three. So, that's six. So I love McDowell. McDowell is wonderful. I stayed there for a month, many, many years ago, about 10 years ago, actually. And one of my favorite things was I had a little cottage because I'm allergic to everything, and so they have a special place for people who are allergic to everything like me. And so I had my little house, and you tell them what your allergies and what your needs are, your dietary needs are, and then at around lunchtime you might hear something outside, and then eventually, whenever you feel comfortable, you open the door, and there's a basket with food made just for you.
That is
Nobody stops.
magical.
Nobody knocks.
Ugh,
You don't have to talk to anybody. You
that
just
sounds literally like heaven.
yes, food just appears. That's great. So there's that. And I just came from Canto Mundo, which I just graduated from. It's a workshop for Latinx poets. And then Macondo, which is also a workshop for Latinx writers. And Macondo this year was, from what I understand, my first time there, magical because they also had the folks who had done it for many years. And once you're a member for life. You can come back as many times as you want. And they also had a youth program, and those young people had a lot of the writers like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like these young people already have it, and they
Wow.
figured out things before, like way before I ever would have.
Yeah.
And I felt the same. And then Canto Mundo, I just graduated, so I'm like, it was amazing, and I'm still in a period of like joy and loss because I can't go back.
Where was
So.
that one located?
That one, it just finished out its last year in Austin. It's moving to New York.
Okay. Awesome.
Hmm.
I've always worked so much I've never been able to do a residency, but it's on my wish list, and
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
currently in applications with a bunch of them. So
Oh, if you want a list of places, I can send you some.
I'm gonna hit you up off
Yeah.
screen for even more. And how do you refill the creative well when you're running dry?
So I really seek out community. I go to readings a lot. I now run a series called Cleve, which is a Bay Area women writers. It's over at Octopus Literary Salon in Oakland every 2 months. And so that really helps a lot to just be immersed in language and talking with folks about their projects, and then to rethink about mine and talk about what I'm working on right now. So that I love anything having to do with community. So doing Macondo, for example, doing Canto Mundo, doing residencies, which is a space to write, but it's also a space to connect with people. And then just, like how to fill up the creative well is like living life, like going to the movies,
Yeah, I agree.
cooking with my partner. We garden. We have like this crazy, massive urban garden with 60 things that we grow. So that's always like miraculous to just look outside and something new is happening. So
That's awesome. I get a lot out of my garden too.
yeah.
A lot. It's mostly weeds, but I've got some tomatoes coming in. So
Oh, excellent, excellent. They're slow this year. They're really slow.
I know they are. Last year I planted
Yeah.
16 plants last year. Don't ever do that. That's a horrible idea. There's still tomatoes out there. Like they're growing out of the concrete cracks because
Oh wow.
so many of them died. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
good.
Like we had one plant and we had like tomatoes practically every day. And this year we're just not getting enough sun or not enough heat where I am, and we have several plants because we really do like tomatoes, so we grew more, and we're just not getting nearly as much as that one plant last year. So
Oh, thinking good
yeah,
thoughts of your
every year.
tomatoes.
I know every year it's a new joy, right?
And can you give us a quick craft tip?
Quick craft tip. Okay, so I think so. A project that I'm working on is around the creation of a world with mythologies and spirits and different languages, and they're Black immortals. And what can you learn around Blackness if you and othering, marginalization if you have existed for 5,000 years and continually been marginalized. So I think the quick craft tip for me is to ask a question
Mm.
and to engage with answering that question in different ways. Um, so for my second book in particular, I was asking the question of, what happens to the boogeyman when dawn comes? Does the boogeyman really disappear into the darkness, or does the boogeyman disappear into the darkness within us? Well,
Ooh.
Here's
That's
the
good. He's got
yeah.
to live somewhere.
So looking through answering that question, those questions through poems, right? And so I figured that out, or that's my approach that I started to use from the second book, and my third book follows that trend as well, and now with this fourth that I'm working on right now. So I think to start with a question.
I love that. That's perfect. How do you come up with a question?
I think the question finds you.
Yeah, and then you grab it, write it down, and wrestle it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think the question becomes an obsession, at least for me.
Yeah.
So that question became an obsession where it was like, so what would I do if I was thinking about Black immortality? And is this vampire stuff? And is this a creation of another world? But I wouldn't want to go by the same rules of like vampires in different series that I've read along the way, like an Anne Rice kind of vampire, for example. I don't want to go by those rules, even though those were some were recreated and
Right.
Imagined. So what kind of vampire would I want that's not really a vampire as far as dead and frozen? So creating from that space.
That's fascinating. That's completely fascinating. I love that. And I think I do that with my novels. They usually start with a large question that you just keep answering and keep answering. So awesome. And is there anything you'd like to plug right now? Tell us about. Can you tell us about your book that came out in February?
Yeah, so Sombra Dislocate just came out in February. It is a book that also explores a question of Blackness and the expat experience. So talking
you lived in
about
Germany, right?
I did,
Yeah.
and then while I was writing the book, I was traveling a lot. I like to travel. My grandfather was a merchant marine, and I like to think that his experience on water has transferred through the generations.
Yeah, I believe that.
A desire. Yeah. So a legacy of travel. So that impacted that manuscript, and now I'm working on Profeta Without Refuge, which is I've finished the manuscript, or I'm getting pretty close. But the chapbook, a smaller selection of those poems, are coming out in the fall with Nomadic Press. So.
Oh, congratulations! That's exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Thanks.
Plus teaching, plus everything, speaking, and
all of that stuff. I'm gonna take another vacation.
Good. You should. And where can listeners find you?
So I am Googleable.
I noticed that. It was easy to find you.
I'm on Twitter at Profesora León. I'm also at Raina León. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
RainaLeón.com.
RainaLeón.com.
Yeah.
Easy to find me there. And I have a blog, rainaleon.blogspot.com. And I have another blog, which I talk about EdTech stuff, which you can find through the rainaleon.blogspot.com. And I run a few series. Well, I run the Acentos Review, and then I also run Cleave. So I'm definitely doing a lot.
Well, it's been so enjoyable talking to you. I hope that I run into you in the Bay Area writers scene.
Yes.
And I look forward to reading you.
Yes.
And I think your titles are just incredible. And the poetry that I was like poking around,
Good.
looking at on the internet was just beautiful and really impressive. Thank you, Raina.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay. Have a good writing weekend.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.